At my sister's engagement party, Uncle James mentioned my $1.05 house. My parents froze. If you had asked anyone in my family who the disappointment was, they would have said my name without hesitation. I'm Olivia Hart, the other daughter, the quiet one, the one who moved out early, the one who never really needed much, and apparently, the one whose life my parents preferred not to talk about, until Uncle James said one sentence that shattered a carefully constructed lie. It was my sister Emily's engagement party, a lavish affair at a country club just outside Boston. White roses, crystal glasses, a string quartet playing soft classical music. Everything about the night screamed money, the kind my parents loved people thinking they had. Emily stood in the center of it all, glowing, designer dress, diamond ring the size of a small country. Her fiancé, Daniel, smiled like a man who just won life. I stood near the bar, alone, as usual. My mother, Patricia, had barely acknowledged me when I arrived. "Oh, you made it," she said, as if I'd RSVP'd by accident. My father, Richard, nodded once. No hug, no smile. That was normal. Because in my parents' version of reality, Emily was the success story. And I was background noise. Until Uncle James arrived late. James was my dad's older brother, blunt, successful, and dangerously allergic to family nonsense. He built a real estate empire from scratch and never let anyone forget the value of honesty. He hugged me tightly when he saw me. "There you are, Liv," he said warmly. "I was hoping you'd come." My mother stiffened. That should have been my first warning. Later, during dinner, as champagne glasses clinked and Daniel's father made a speech about legacy and family unity, Uncle James leaned across the table and looked directly at me. "So, Olivia," he said casually, voice carrying just enough, "how's the new house treating you?" I blinked. "It's good," I replied, confused, still settling in. He chuckled. "A $1.5 million property usually takes time." The room didn't go quiet. It died. Forks paused midair. My mother's smile froze like cracked porcelain. My father stared at his plate as if it might swallow him. Emily's head snapped toward me. "House?" she asked. "What house?" Uncle James frowned. "You didn't tell them." I felt something shift inside me. Years of silence, years of shrinking myself, years of letting my parents rewrite my story to make themselves feel bigger. I took a sip of champagne. "No," I said calmly, "I didn't." And just like that, the lie unraveled. Part 2, the daughter they didn't brag about. Growing up, Emily and I lived in the same house, but different worlds. Emily was loud, charismatic, and always needed saving. I was quiet, observant, and learned early not to ask for help. When Emily failed a math test, my parents hired tutors. When I aced mine, they asked why I wasn't top of the class. When Emily dropped out of her first college, they blamed stress. When I worked 2 jobs to pay my own tuition, they called it independence. But independence, in our family, was code for you're on your own. So I left. At 22, I moved to Chicago with a single suitcase and a job offer at a small investment firm. No goodbye party, no tears. Just relief. I worked, I learned. I failed quietly and succeeded silently. By 30, I'd built a portfolio my parents never bothered to ask about. And by 32, I bought my house. Cash. The irony. My parents told everyone I was still figuring things out. They never corrected anyone who assumed I was struggling. Because my success didn't fit the story where they were the heroes. So when Uncle James mentioned the house, it wasn't just news. It was exposure. Part 3, damage control. After dinner, my mother cornered me near the restrooms. "Why would James say that?" she hissed. "Say what?" I asked. "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "People think we don't know our own daughter." I laughed softly. "You don't." Her eyes widened. "Excuse me." "You never asked," I said. You never cared. My father joined us, face red. You embarrassed us tonight. I tilted my head. By owning a house. By not telling us. I smiled. Funny, you didn't tell anyone I paid my own way through college either. They had no answer. Across the room, Emily watched us, suspicion brewing. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. Part 410. Story continues with jealousy, financial manipulation attempts, Emily's entitlement, parents demanding help, Uncle James backing Olivia, a legal showdown, public exposure at a family gathering, Emily's engagement unraveling, parents' reputation collapsing, and Olivia choosing peace over approval. Final part, the quiet victory. Months later, I hosted my own gathering. In my house. The $1.5 million $1. Uncle James raised a glass. To the daughter, who never needed permission to succeed. My parents weren't invited. Emily didn't come. And for the first time in my life, the silence felt like freedom. If you had asked anyone in my family who the disappointment was, they would have said my name without hesitation. I'm Olivia Hart, the other daughter, the quiet one, the one who moved out early, the one who never really needed much, and apparently the one whose life my parents preferred not to talk about, until Uncle James said one sentence that shattered a carefully constructed lie. It was my sister Emily's engagement party. A lavish affair at a country club just outside Boston. White roses, crystal glasses, a string quartet playing soft classical music. Everything about the night screamed money, the kind my parents loved people thinking they had. Emily stood in the center of it all, glowing. Designer dress. Diamond ring the size of a small country. Her fiancé, Daniel, smiled like a man who'd just won life. I stood near the bar. Alone, as usual. My mother, Patricia, had barely acknowledged me when I arrived. "Oh, you made it," she said, as if I'd RSVP'd by accident. My father, Richard, nodded once. No hug, no smile. That was normal. Because in my parents' version of reality, Emily was the success story. And I was background noise. Until Uncle James arrived late. James was my dad's older brother, blunt, successful, and dangerously allergic to family nonsense. He built a real estate empire from scratch and never let anyone forget the value of honesty. He hugged me tightly when he saw me. "There you are, Liv," he said warmly. "I was hoping you'd come." My mother stiffened. That should have been my first warning. Later, during dinner, as champagne glasses clinked and Daniel's father made a speech about legacy and family unity, Uncle James leaned across the table and looked directly at me. "So, Olivia," he said casually, voice carrying just enough, "how's the new house treating you?" I blinked. "It's good," I replied, confused, still settling in. He chuckled. A $1.5 million property usually takes time. The room didn't go quiet. It died. Forks paused midair. My mother's smile froze like cracked porcelain. My father stared at his plate as if it might swallow him. Emily's head snapped toward me. "House?" she asked. "What house?" Uncle James frowned. "You didn't tell them." I felt something shift inside me. Years of silence, years of shrinking myself, years of letting my parents rewrite my story to make themselves feel bigger. I took a sip of champagne. "No," I said calmly, "I didn't." And just like that, the lie unraveled. Part 2, the cracks begin to show. Emily confronted me before the night was over. She cornered me near the balcony, champagne still in her hand, smile tight and forced. "A house," she said, "$1 million house." I met her eyes, calm, unapologetic. "Yes." Her laugh was sharp. "Since when?" "Since I worked for it." That answer alone offended her. Because Emily had always believed good things arrived automatically, especially for her. She glanced back toward our parents, who were deep in conversation with Daniel's parents, their voices low and frantic. "You could have told us," she said. You never asked, I replied. Her jaw tightened. Mom and Dad look stupid. I leaned closer. That's not my responsibility. For the first time in her life, Emily had no comeback. Part 3. The phone calls start. The calls began the next morning. First, my mother. Why didn't you trust us enough to share this? She asked, voice trembling with practiced hurt. I put the phone on speaker and made coffee. Because every time I shared something, you minimized it. That's not true. It is, I said, and you know it. She changed tactics immediately. Well, since you're doing so well, she began carefully, we were thinking maybe you could help Emily and Daniel get started. Weddings are expensive. There it was. The real reason. I'm not paying for her wedding, I said. Silence. Then anger. You're being selfish. I smiled. Goodbye, Mom. Part 4. Emily's expectations. Emily didn't even pretend. She sent me listings. Venues, dresses, honeymoon resorts. With captions like, thoughts, and this would be perfect, right? Finally, she sent the message she meant all along. So, how much can you contribute? I stared at my phone, then typed 3 words. I won't be. She exploded. You think you're better than us now? No, I replied. I just finally stopped letting you use me. Part 5. The family meeting. My parents demanded a family meeting. At my house. The irony wasn't lost on me. They walked through the front door, eyes scanning marble counters, high ceilings, the skyline view. My mother looked sick. My father looked angry. You hid this from us, he said. I lived my life, I corrected. They sat down. Then my father said the words that ended everything. Family money should stay in the family. I laughed out loud. This is my money, I said. You didn't invest, you didn't help, you didn't even believe in me. My mother reached for my hand. You owe us, she whispered. I stood up. I owe you nothing. Part 6. Uncle James steps in. They tried one last move. They went to Uncle James, hoping he'd convince me. Instead, he called me laughing. I've never been prouder of you, he said. He didn't just support me. He exposed them. At the next extended family gathering, he congratulated me, publicly, on my career, my investments, my discipline. My parents sat frozen. The narrative they'd controlled for decades collapsed in one afternoon. Part 7. The engagement unravels. Money became a problem. Then resentment. Then blame. Daniel started asking questions. Why Emily had no savings. Why her parents expected help. Why they'd lied about so much. 3 months later, the engagement was quietly called off. Emily blamed me. Of course she did. Final part, choosing myself. I blocked them all. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Months later, I sat on my balcony, city lights glowing beneath me. Uncle James visited, raising a glass. To the woman who broke the cycle, he said. I smiled. I didn't need their approval. I had my freedom. And this time, the silence was earned. The end.